Dear Diary, I'm absolutely loving my new life.
It's 10 years down the line since we've seen Bridget last, and she's grown up a little bit. She's excelled in her professional career.
2 men in her life, once again.
These characters still have feelings for each other, despite the time that's passed.
It's been 5 years since you broke up with Mark. What you need is some sex.
Oh!
May I?
Ding dong.
I'm like the new kid on the block. It brings new energy and a new dynamic to the film.
I can't go back and keep making same mistakes.
I'm pregnant. When I can make new ones.
She doesn't know who the father is, and she needs to tell them. And that's where the conflict is, and that's where the humor is, and that's where the heart of the piece is.
Surely one of those dates is more likely.
No. Do bring along the father if you can work out which one he is.
When they first met, there was a bit of a bromance developing. That quickly turns to rival.
Brought you a nice tea.
Thank you.
I brought you super juice.
Oh,
Let me carry that for you.
thank you.
Can I carry your phone?
I couldn't wait to get back and
Tell the story about these characters that we love.
How do you orchestrate such cliffhangers in your life?
I love to think of it as a sort of coming-of-age film.
the best thing I've ever seen. I've learned a lot from having played this character, and she's a treasure to me.
It's a pretty fantastic storyline. It's exciting, isn't it? It's like the final of the X Factor or something. Dial 01 if you wanted to be Mark, and 02 if you wanted to be Jack.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Congratulations on Bridget Jones's Baby, the 3rd entry in the Bridget Jones filmography. I thought it was wonderful. Congratulations. You guys knocked it out of the park.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What brought you to doing a 3rd movie?
Well, it was pretty selfishly motivated, actually. She's kind of fun. She's really fun to play, and I love this character. I'm sure, like a lot of people discovering her in the book so many years ago, I just fell in love with her. I have so much affection for her. So when they talked about it, I couldn't wait. Couldn't wait.
So when you signed on to the first movie, there was like immediate controversy because this is like a British character, you're from Texas, but then you were nominated for an Academy Award, which is unbelievable. And this has become a kind of like one of the most iconic romantic comedy characters, I think, at this point. Do you ever get nervous going back to it? Like, oh my God, like, am I gonna be able to do it again? Anything like that?
Oh, all of that, yeah, absolutely.
I bet that adds to the character, or to the performance a little bit.
Maybe, probably, yeah. A little bit of trepidation, never hurt anybody. I was, of course, nervous because, like so many people, I have affection for her. You want to take care of her. You want to do a good job. You don't want to disappoint anybody. You know, don't want to do anything just for the sake of it either, you know?
At this point, do you kind of get involved in the development process a little bit too? Do you feel a little bit of ownership of the character?
Tiny bit, just a tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit?
Just truly a tiny bit. Just, participating and making sure that what we were doing was going to be worthwhile and not just good enough. Because that's not just good enough is not good enough.
It's absolutely worthwhile. It's a really funny movie. And Patrick, you come in as kind of the Hugh Grant of this movie, but I would say a good guy. A good guy.
No. That's not good. No one can replace Hugh Grant. He's a remarkable actor. And that was the thing, was like finding the voice. Who is Jack? Because he's not based on any of the novels. So this is a new character that's been introduced. So that was challenging and certainly a little nerve-wracking at the beginning, certainly.
Who would you say Jack is?
Jack Quant. Billionaire. He's come up with this dating app that based on an algorithm that can bring people together. He's a good guy. I think what's interesting about this is that Bridget has 2 really great choices. One has, this history, and one is unknown to her. And how does that work out? And that's sort of the dilemma.
I think one of the things that I liked about Jack is that I think, unlike maybe in the first movie where Hugh Grant's kind of a playboy and the audience can sort of form a bias against him, both Jack and Mark are good guys trying to do the good thing. And I think it might show a sort of growing sophistication when it comes to audiences where they don't need a very clear villain at this point in a romantic comedy. Was that something that attracted you to Jack, that he's also just like, he's a very good guy in the midst of this triangle?
Yeah, I like the dynamic where you had sort of the American sensibility and then certainly the quintessential Englishman in that dynamic and the conflict that could arise between that. And they both care immensely for Bridget, and they have two different approaches on how they feel they should be supporting her. And that's where, you know, the work was for us is to find those little moments, certainly.
Renee, how would you define your performance when you play Bridget? When you go into Bridget, what are some...
Brilliant. She's fantastic in the movie.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's so flattering.
I mean...
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I know this is your question, but the range between having the emotion, the comic timing, and the slapstick, and all, and I love the dancing too that you do. It's beautiful. So it was great to watch firsthand. Sorry, it's your question.
No, absolutely.
How pink? Is it properly red or just pink?
No, I think you're absolutely right. There's a certain sort of there's only very few people can bring intelligence to slapstick. Usually when a character does slapstick, they're supposed to be the dummy. But with Bridget, she's always a really smart person who's ending up in slapstick situations, which I think is difficult to play. Do you have mantras when you go into playing Bridget, things to sort of help you remember exactly who she is?
Oh, that's really interesting. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. In terms of mantras, no. I always try to keep her truthful and authentic. It's really fun to see just how absurd you can make those situations and how broad you can go and it still be believable. That's a lot of fun. But I like that she's so open, and so physically the way that she carries herself and the way that she walks and things, there's nothing that's really self-conscious about her, which is contradictory to her inner dialogue, which is full of anxiety and self-depreciation. That's kind of part of it, I think, and that's what I guess I connected with Bridget when I first, came across her in the books, is being privy to that inner dialogue about who it is that she thinks she's supposed to be versus the truth of who she is and who she's trying to present herself to be in certain situations. We all relate to that. So,
having done 3 movies as Bridget, do you ever have any time where you can't separate yourself from Bridget? Do you feel extremely close to her or relate to who she is?
Usually on live television, yeah. Yeah.
Are we getting a little Bridget right now, Renee?
Always, if you could see the thought bubble, yeah.
Patrick, what was it like playing alongside Colin Firth?
Oh, he and I got along right away. He has a wonderful sense of humor, really talented actor, of course, based on his work, but he's just an overall nice guy. And we hit it off immediately, had great chemistry, all 3 of us. And it was a joy. It really was. I mean, I really looked forward to it, and it was playful, a lot of play, a lot of laughter, to the dismay of the director at times where we couldn't get through a take. But in that playfulness, then you start to find things, It's really...
And playfulness is absolutely key to making a movie like this. There's nothing worse than watching a romantic comedy where the actors don't seem like they're having the best possible time on screen. And one of the things that's really great about this movie is that you guys all seem like you're having a wonderful time with each other.
Yeah, we really did enjoy each other's company and working together. You felt very safe in that if you found a moment that could support the other actor, you would give that moment up. And I noticed that happened from him to me quite a bit, and for you as well, where little bits and pieces were given to you, and you're like, okay, and then the scene pops and opens up, and you find your way.
Now, when we pick up with Bridget in this movie, she's now working as a live news producer at a news company that's kind of becoming increasingly irrelevant. What did you think about that storyline?
Oh, well, I think it's interesting, and I think it reflects our times. I mean, the ambiguity between news and entertainment is pretty overwhelming these days. And I get it, you got to get the eyes on the screen, and nothing more, I guess, scintillating than scandal or, shocking, or those are always really good catchphrases. Fear is a nice one to play on as well. But I mean, I understand, but it is an interesting trend and very topical right now, I think.
It's a wonderful irony of Bridget in the first movie getting popular for slamming her butt into the camera to now becoming a sort of defender of highbrow news for the purpose of this network.
That's really interesting. I had not made that connection. That is good. That is good.
So you took a few years off, Renee, about 6 years, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. What was it like to come back to Bridget Jones? I mean, it's one thing to come back to sort of a new character that no one really knows yet, but to sort of take time off and then immediately come back to a character that people love. Was that a little nerve-wracking for you at all?
Yes, because, you know, if I think like a lot of people who have imposter syndrome and you're sure that this is the one you're going to be found out on and fired from.
Why does every actor feel that way?
Because you're neurotic by nature to be an actor, you know? It's hard. You're putting yourself out there, and it's not like you have, like, okay, you submit a paper and you're judged on that. You're judged on your whole being. And it's a tough profession. You have to be incredibly thick-skinned, and you never know if you are going to work again. You know, it never goes away. I think no matter who you talk to, no matter how long their career is, it's tricky. It's hard.
Sure, and I'm not trained. I'm not a trained actor.
Well, you've done pretty well for yourself, I would say.
Yeah, you're doing okay.
Very much. But, you know, so I always felt like I kind of got the very first job by default. It was kind of, I snuck in there and they didn't know that I don't belong here.
Which job was that?
Oh, it was a commercial for, I think, the American beef export.
Do you remember any lines from that commercial?
I didn't have lines.
Oh, but I think the first job.
I have some lines.
Someone is now seeking that commercial out right now, and that's going to pop up on some talk show.
I think according to IMDb, the first role was Reality Bites, right? Just a brief cameo in Reality Bites.
I actually think that I was working on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Best workout of my whole life, by the way. Running from a live chainsaw is excellent motivation.
And running from Matthew McConaughey in one of his early roles as well.
It's true, yeah.
I've seen that Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Did you see?
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
Really?
No, I haven't
Well,
seen
you also weren't like a 13-year-old boy when it came out who rented every horror movie that was on the shelf.
Astute. So I haven't seen it. No, that Reality Bites was something that I did a little bit. I think it was during that time, yeah. But what was the question? I'm sorry.
Well, we were talking about how you feel like an imposter because you're not a trained actor. So when you take some years off, take some time off, and sort of get back into the role of Bridget, is it a question of, do you know if those muscles are working, those muscles that you had sort of crafted incidentally on your own over the years?
That's exactly it. I didn't know. Every time I kind of go into it, I'm not sure if I remember how to do this. And so having taken that time, yeah, definitely that was something that came into, into my, evening ruminations. Because I love her so much, and because she is so much fun, and because it was a reunion with so many friends who had been involved in the previous projects, it was like a homecoming in a way. So it was a really nice experience to have after having been gone for a while.
Absolutely. Patrick, I have to ask, you're a handsome guy.
That's so funny. Thank you.
And I think, and one thing that I love about romantic comedies is that they give attractive people incredible introductions all the time. And you have one of those wonderful sort of romantic comedy handsome guy moments where we hear the voice and then we sort of pan up and it's you. And when I was in the theater, like it's like a long pan up to your face, if I remember correctly, and all the women in the theater went, "Woo!" So freaking out.
Thank God for that response. Yeah. I mean, it's set up as the Prince Charming with the shoe and the symbolism and everything. So yeah, it's a great entrance.
What's it like for you as an actor who clearly suffers from imposter syndrome as well to see you shot that way and audiences react that way?
It's fun, you know. I mean, I was like, I played all these nerdy characters in my early career, and now to kind of
as a 10-year-old boy when those came out, believe me, I saw those as well.
And I was always sort of the odd kid in school, so it's nice to have the attention, so you don't take it seriously, but seriously enough where you're grateful for the attention, So it's better than the alternative, I suppose. And it's fun, it's a blast.
What made you sign on to doing this film?
Well, I couldn't believe they offered it to me. I was like, wow, this is incredible. And I was racing, somewhere around the world, and I was really focused on doing an entire season in the WEC, which is the World Endurance Championship, and I had an opportunity to really focus 100% on that for 1 year, so I wasn't really looking to go to work. And Eric Fellner, who did Senna, the documentary, which is a great documentary. If you haven't seen it, you should really watch it, whether you like racing or not. It's very moving about Anton Senna and his life. And they were like, well, we'll work around the schedule for you. And I was like, oh, okay, definitely. And then the panic and fear and anxiety set in after that. Of like,
what kind of panic?
Well,
fear,
just being a
anxiety?
part of this, you know, it's such a beloved film franchise. And it's like, okay, you know, who is this guy? How am I going to make this work? And it's good. It was a good challenge. It was nice to have both worlds to go in and out of.
Renee, on Edge of Reason, you had a different director. Was it nice to have the director from Diary brought back for this film?
Oh, sure, yeah. I had a great time with Biban Kidron on the second film, so not to take anything away from her. She actually writes speeches for the Prime Minister now, so she's kind of busy.
Doing okay.
She's very busy right now.
Yeah, and she makes wonderful documentary films as well. If you get a chance to see any of her work. Yeah, but, you know, I feel like I kind of grew up with Sharon in discovering this character through this whole experience, so it was fun to have her back. And, you know, she is, the character Jude in the franchise is, who's played by Shirley Henderson, I never say her name right. She's based on Sharon. So Sharon is, McGuire, the director, is one of Helen Fielding's very close friends from many years back. And so I feel like she kind of knows this world intimately. I feel like she shares a lot with Bridget Jones, same wardrobe.
Yeah, she's kind of like, she's had this crazy wool hat. She was like witchy poo, so she's like the punk rock witchy poo energy and fun, you know?
She got a great sense of humor, and I always feel like Bridget kind of comes to life when Sharon's over in the corner laughing behind the camera, so.
I mean, we haven't really discussed it, but how has Bridget changed going into this third movie? Because she's not a different character, but she's definitely a different person.
Yeah, like all of us, you know, later on in our life experience, and that's what I thought was so interesting about this, catching up with a character that we all met so long ago, you know, so many years later, and trying to decide how you show that a person has evolved and yet not betray the spirit of the character. Yeah, she's a little bit more mature. I think that we'll find she's a little more self-possessed in this. She's more professionally accomplished, and
at times.
well, she's still charmingly flawed, you know. So, yeah, a little less naive, but no less hopelessly romantic, which I think is the essence of that character.
Which is one of the things that I love about the character in terms of her flaws is that she has evolved, she's grown up, she's more mature, she's more professional, and like reality, no matter how much we feel like we have grown up and are more professional, we are still very flawed and silly and human at times. And this franchise never betrays that aspect of this character, which is so great.
I like that you caught that, you know. I agree with you. I think she's such an authentic person. And I mean, that's what we all relate to in her, I think. And despite that she's moved on in her life and has accomplished so much more and is more self-possessed, you know, she's still human. She's still human. And it's sort of a coming-of-age story for people at a different stage of their lives. It sort of subverts the myth that you're supposed to have it all together by a certain time in your life. We know that that's just not true. We're always just kids kind of trying to figure it out.
I don't want to give anything away, no spoilers, but there's a wonderful set piece towards the end of the film where both you and Colin Firth are carrying Renee down the streets of London. I won't say why or what's going on. Can you talk about shooting that scene? It's really well done.
We did one take that just went on, and we were like, we have got to be out of frame. And I couldn't do it anymore. And that was it. And then you lost it, and we were done.
Oh, gosh, it was
But
hilarious.
that was one of my favorite sequences in the movie, that, you know, especially when we're all together. But that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we
and the
had
location,
a great time.
In this, you know, beautiful location shooting.
And I mean, I carry a baby quite a bit in this film, and that gets really heavy after about 10 hours. I can't imagine carrying me for 2-3 days.
It was the prosthetic is much heavier than any normal baby anyway. It was like, must have been 60 pounds of just all plastic. And
is a prosthetic baby bump really heavy?
Yeah.
It's really, yeah, it's solid latex, and yeah, silicone.
It's this huge mass. It's like this.
Yeah, which, you know, helps, you know, with the process. It's important, I think, and kudos to the ladies out there who can't take it off at the end of the day.
It was funny because we saw a lady who's pregnant on her way in, and we're like, oh, baby bump. Hey. Obviously, it was real.
And your shoot was probably like 2 or 3 months long versus
9
months.
Well, we ran the gamut. You know, we started at the beginning and then moved on. By the time they're carrying me, it's 9 months. Yeah, yeah.
Let's open it up to the audience for some questions. Who has questions out here?
Hi, guys. I'm over here.
Oh, hey, there you are. Hi.
Hi.
So thanks for being here. I'm actually so excited to see this movie. This is one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time. So I just want to know, you guys filmed in London, so what was it like filming there?
Oh my God, I loved it. I went real estate shopping every chance I got. No, I did. I went to every real estate, and I was like, can I take a look at this place?
Any open houses?
No, there were no open houses, but it's so beautiful. You know, the architecture and that time of year in the fall, so it felt like Dickens was alive and well, you know, and I would get lost and just walk around, and the culture and just the energy of this city, it was amazing. I love it. I love it there.
Yeah.
I'd move there in a minute.
It's a great town. It was cold.
And rainy, and when the sun came out, you're like, ah.
Yeah, and everybody
used to
kind of,
this.
yeah, and everybody's like, oh, sorry, it's so dreary and rainy, and we're from California.
I was smiling.
Like,
I was
yes.
loving the rain.
Haven't seen it in a while, so it's like a homecoming. I'm sure it would be for you now, too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a whole, because I could walk around and no one knew me. So it was like I just would get lost and explore the city and the museums and the people and the food and the culture and the energy. And they had this wonderful Christmas fair. And my kids came over for Thanksgiving, which is, you know, and they had me go on every ride like 5 times. And there was this one ride that I thought was over. It scared me to death. And right when you think it's done, it continues again. I got so much motion sickness, and then I had to go to set right after that. So I was kind of spinning my head for the rest of the day, so it was fun.
Next question.
Hey guys, what is a lesson you learned from your characters?
I think Jack's nobility in the sense that he steps up when he's asked to. You know, here's a gentleman who doesn't know if it's going to be his child or not, but he does the right thing. And I thought that was really a great character trait in him. And his relationship with Mark Darcy was one initially with tremendous respect and admiration, and then that continued. So I like those qualities in him.
I guess more from the experience of talking about the character than actually playing the character. I think I've come to recognize that if we could see, or if we were all privy to everybody's inner dialogue, we'd recognize that we're all exactly the same. Yeah. So
We're all spinning our wheels and kind of confused.
all the time, and all the time wondering if we're good enough, and all the time wondering if we're measuring up, and all the time anxious about what it is that we hope for. You know, all of it. Human, it's, you know, that's it.
I have to ask, you know, when you signed on to play Bridget for the first time, obviously you can't predict the future, but did it feel like you were signing on to something that could be an iconic role in your career?
I didn't think about it that way. I never really think about it from that perspective. It's really small. It's more of kind of a private, personal challenge. I wasn't sure that I could do it, and and I'm really grateful that they let me try to find out if I could do it. But it was, it was more about that. I just didn't want to let anybody down who had given me that opportunity because, like I said, I really love this character. So.
It's one of those things that when you go back and watch the original and with the new one, you get to have a moment where you say, and if you know romantic comedies, you sort of, as soon as it starts, you get to think to yourself, oh, this is different. This is funny and it's honest, and it's both of those at the same time. It's not just a Hollywood romantic comedy movie. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if that's something that you picked up on early on in the project.
Well, I think the book itself was unique in its setting, and that, you know, it kind of opened up the English countryside and parish council sorts of, you know, community events and things like that, and the way people lived in a way that I hadn't been exposed to before, and I'm sure a lot of people. So that, I mean, it's unique in that way. And also, you know, Helen Fielding was talking about things that are part of the sort of conversation now in terms of social commentary, which I thought is interesting and speaks to her brilliance as a writer. But I guess, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question.
Hi. I was wondering what advice you have for actors just starting out?
Oh, that's a really good question, and a really different kind of question now because the world is so different now. I mean, I see that auditions are online, and you can put your reel online, and yeah, it's unbelievable the opportunities that you have for to get your work out there. I would guess, and because I'm so far from that now, I would guess that the link would be that you should really know why you want to do it. Are you an aspiring actor? Yeah, I think that would be the first thing, to know why you want to do it, and to make sure that it's because you love, love, love the work. And if that's the case, then you will always be successful. And you will always, always feel blessed in your life that you're doing what you love, no matter if it's 10 people who see it, or 5, or you know, millions. I think that's the most important thing, because when you actually live the work is it's really rewarding, and it's an extraordinary life. But it is a full commitment. It's a commitment, and you don't see much of the life once once you get involved in keeping promises, professional promises, and the commitment that it takes to I guess properly do the job that you're hired for. It's a really insular experience, and it's all in. And I guess it's kind of like people choosing a profession because they want to make a lot of money, when the job itself, requires so much of your time that you don't know what kind of lifestyle it might be affording you. I think that's most important, is that you love it, that you really love it.
Yeah. Do you want to add to that?
It's an incredibly tough profession, especially as an actor, because you're at the mercy of so many other people making a decision on your behalf. But in the world that we live in, you are in control of your own destiny by the tools that we have. So everybody is unique, and everyone can be a star in their own right. So you need to nurture that. You need to create your own material. You need to write. You need to play, and you can create your own stories and get them out to people, and if they're good, they'll find an audience. So be true to yourself. And someone said, the process is the product. So the journey of the creation is the satisfying part of it. When you see it, it's not necessarily so. You're always going to dissect it. You're always going to be tough on yourself. There's always going to be the critic inside of you. So the doing, stay in theater. Work in the theater. You have a beginning, middle, and end. There's a continuity to it. There is satisfaction in that. It's challenging. And then create your own content. Be the driver of your own destiny, I think. And you've got to love it, because it is the toughest, hardest profession.
Absolutely.
And to add to that, that's what's so exciting now, I think, is that you don't have to wait to be invited to participate. So don't wait to be
active.
invited.
Be proactive.
Yeah.
I have I auditioned for 10 years without ever getting a job. This was after Can't Buy Me Love came out, and a number of movies. 10 years. And I had to, learn and memorize, because I'm dyslexic, so I can never read off the page. I could never manage my emotions enough. And I learned never to give up. You can never get up. And then I went into a meeting, and I was like, God, that person hated me. She'll never hire me. Lo and behold, it was Shonda Rhimes. She was analyzing how I would fit in the show. After 10 years, it was the first gig I got after an audition. So you never know when it's going to happen. It's going to be hard, but you never give up. You never quit. And you'll get to the other side.
Absolutely. I have to let the two of you go, but I would be remiss if the child in me did not ask you this question, Renée Zellweger. How often do people say sexy, Rexy to you when they see you?
Not enough.
Guys, Bridget Jones' Baby is in theaters this Friday. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us. It was a real pleasure.